Welcome to church. My name is Luke, and I'm your atheist pastor, putting a friendly face on atheism and helping people rebuild their lives after they leave the faith. We are so glad you're here, and we just simply want your life to be better. I'm here with the amazing, talented, beautiful producer Tammy.
Hello.
Who is being bombarded with poodles.
I just got off work, so
she has a poodle.
They feel like they haven't seen me.
She has a poodle in her lap and a poodle licking her fingertips. A huge thank you to our Patreon subscribers, and for those of you who give when you can, you are who make this show possible. Is that the right way to say something? You are who make this. You are the people who make this.
There you go.
Maybe that. You are the people. You are the folks. You are the amazing heathens who make this show possible. Big news. Huge news. Biggest news so far. We finally have someone. Okay, listen to this. So I don't have time to edit video. Just don't have it. It's not there. It's not there, guys. I'm sorry. I've tried. I wanted to. It just isn't. It's just not there. So we have someone who's going to be editing our YouTube videos from now on, which is fantastic. So we will be keeping you posted on when YouTube stuff is posted. The best way to know is go to YouTube. I think you can search your atheist pastor and subscribe. If you can't find it, I'll be putting up links once we actually get videos and stuff up. So we're not having full show videos up. We are just going to be putting up segments. So we'll have like the opening segment that we're doing right now. And then we'll have, I'm sorry, but I can't, will be up there and some other things. So that's kind of how we're going to go about doing the YouTube for now. And it will, like everything else, it will probably be, actually, no, it'll probably be a lot better starting out because Chris is going to be editing and I won't be. So who knows how great the YouTube
It's like how food tastes
will
so
be.
much better when somebody else cooks it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same concept. And then a big thank you to all of you who came out. They made the trip online to our quarterly gathering. So we had about 10 or 11 people at the quarterly gathering, which was about 8 or 9 more than we had at the first one. So we're really glad you made it to that. If you'd like to join us at our next quarterly gathering, go to youratheistpastor.org. Podcast at the very top. There's a podcast menu. It'll drop down. It will say join our quarterly gathering. Get on the email list. You'll get all the information for that. We have a great show for you today. It's been building and building and building, and we're finally ready. We have another round of I'm sorry, but I just can't coming at you.
Yeah.
Lawrence Aldershaw Crutchley is here. He's going to be reading from Job chapter 8. A Get Your Shit Together update. It'll be really brief. And And our featured atheist is James. James is fantastic, and I'll tell you a little bit more about James before his interview. But we had a question this week, and it's a great question to answer on the show. We've touched on it here and there on varying degrees of detail, and so we'll touch on it again because people keep asking. So if people keep asking, we'll keep answering. That's a beautiful thing. It doesn't matter if you ask the same question. Every time we answer it, it gives us a better opportunity to answer it better, I think. And every time you have to answer a question, like, why are you an atheist? That always helps us. Every time we have to answer something, it might be redundant for us, but I was struck by something when I interviewed Verdell Wright, and he and I were talking after the show. I think this was after the show. And I can't remember. I was asking him how, we can best be advocates for people. And he told me that we have to remember, he told me that he gets, I asked that question maybe 4 or 5 different times to people, but he gets asked that question all the time. And for those of us that are atheists, and those of us who are publicly atheist, so those of us that are out there, we need to have an extra degree of patience because even though we get asked, where do you get your morals? Why are you an atheist? We get asked that question all the time. The person that's asking that question, you may be the very first person that they're ever asking that question to. So I think we need to always make sure that we have a double dose of patience for the folks that ask us these questions. But we had this, of course, this question has absolutely nothing to do with everything I just prefaced. Why don't I want to have children? Was the question that was asked. And I think that's a good question. We've mentioned a couple times on the show that we don't really have a desire to have kids. And when I say we, I mean my desire to have kids is less than Tammy's. I think you would probably be interested if that was on the table, right?
Yes.
But I'm not. We're also not in a position where Tammy wants to have kids and I don't.
Correct.
Because that is a recipe for disaster.
It is.
When you're in a relationship like that. So Tammy has always kind of been on the fence about it. Is that fair to say?
No, I always wanted kids, but being with you, I kind of, you're like, I kind of like my life the way it is, and I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So that
I
kind
like
of
my money.
that kind of opens up to why we don't want to have kids. Now, I wish I had a more enlightened answer to this question. So some people will say, "Oh, I don't want to have kids because the planet, we're overpopulated already. With it, there's too many, there's too many people, and so I don't want to have children." Or, I don't know what life I would be leaving for them. I don't know, with climate change and all those things, I can't justifiably bring a child into this world and leave them with this planet that may not be here in the way that it's here, in 50 years or 100 years. Some people say something like, they have these more enlightened answers, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. My answer is less enlightened. I'm super selfish, and I like my time. And I like my life how it is, and I kind of say that tongue in cheek. Obviously, I'm not a totally selfish bastard. I mean, I will do things for people. I like giving to folks. I like doing things for people. But when it comes to my time, I am a little bit more on the selfish side. When it comes to the way I live my life, I'm a little bit more on the selfish side. I don't like things or people dictating what I do, which is why I'm self-employed. Largely. I mean, I do work for people, but in most cases, I kind of get to pick and choose the jobs that I do and when I want to do them. And so this is kind of my thought process behind why I don't want to have kids. And I don't need to say this because you know me, but let's say you're brand new to the show and you have children and you love your children. It's likely that you might hear this and think, I'm advocating for folks not to have children. I think that if you want to have kids, you should have them. I think if you don't want to have kids, then you shouldn't be pressured by society to have them. And I think it's a choice, just like anything else. It's a choice that you need to make based on how you feel about life, children, and what you want to do with life and children. First of all, my life is incredible. I have Tammy. I have these 2 dogs. I have my friends. I have a purpose. I have goals. I don't feel like anything is missing in my life. So I don't have this urge to add something to my life. I don't feel like I have a hole in it. I don't feel like I have this instinct that isn't being lived out. Like everything that I am doing fits well with me. I don't look at a baby and think, oh my gosh, I want one. They're so beautiful. What a miracle of life. Like I don't look at a child and think that. I think, wow, that looks like a lot of work. That looks like a lot of effort, and I don't really think that I want to put that kind of effort in. When I look at my life and when I think of having a child that dictates largely what I'm going to do for the next 18 years, it will impact how much I sleep. It will impact my vacation schedule. It will impact my financial schedule. That's not attractive to me. It's not something that I look at and think, wow, that's a sacrifice that I want to make. And that's implying that if that child is healthy. Because what if I have a child that is not healthy? What if I have a child that has a special medical need? That then I need to care for that child for its entire life.
Yeah.
And I need to be there. And again, that's not saying that having a child that needs you for your entire life is a bad thing. It's just saying that that's a risk that I'm not willing to take. What if I have them and because people say something like, well, do you want to die alone? There's no guarantee that if you have a child, that child will then love you and that child will show up and take care of you. Some children don't give a fuck. Some children leave. Some people get addicted to drugs. And so the question is, am I willing to take the risk that my child will be that my child could be unhealthy, that my child could be a drug addict, that my child could totally write me off, that my child could lead me to some kind of heartbreak at 17 years old, and then I would spend my life mourning the loss of the future that I dreamed of? Because as we all know, especially those of us from religious family members, our children sometimes don't turn out the way that we want them to, or that we dream that they would turn out. And some of us have thrown our parents curveballs And so am I willing to have that curveball thrown at me? No, I'm not. It's not a risk I'm willing to take. Additionally, when I'm around kids, I like them for like an hour or 2 or 3, and then I'm over it. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to hand them back. I'm ready to take off. And then people will say, "Well, it'll be different when you have your own kids."
No, I think most parents are like that too.
And
They're like,
and
2 or
here's
3 hours is
and
enough.
here's the thing. It may be different if I have my own children, but what if it's not? That's a risk. That's something that once you ring that bell, you can't just unring it. You can't have your kid raise it for 5 years and then be like, I tried this.
I just don't like you.
It
very
was
much.
okay, but I'm over you and I'm going to give you back. And so if I adopt a dog that's an asshole, then I'm looking at maybe a 15-year commitment, 20-year commitment tops, with a dog. If I get divorced or if I get married and it doesn't work out, then hey, maybe I could get a divorce. But for me, having a kid is a lifelong responsibility. Even when they're adults, they're still your children, right? How many folks have kids that come back and stay with them for a while? And so to me, it doesn't, to me, the reward that is there, when I do a cost benefit analysis, for me, the cost is way higher than my perceived benefit. And it's not something that I take lightly. It's not something that I just flippantly one day said, I don't want a kid. It's something that after thinking and thinking and thinking about it and getting to a point in my life where I'm happy and everything is good, I don't see a situation where I would look up and think, wow, I wish I had a kid. And here's the thing. If I change my mind, I could adopt in the future. Is it expensive? Absolutely. Is it a lot of work? Absolutely. But here's the thing. If I'm willing to go through all that, then I'll know for certain that I really wanted to do this. And I think, and this may not apply to any of you, but I think a lot of people, just like marriage, have kids because you're supposed to. You get married because you're supposed to. Because the moment you start dating someone, is it serious? Are you going to get married? And then as soon as you get married, are you going to have kids? And as soon as you have one kid, are you going to have a second one? How long are you going to wait before you have a second one? And before you even think about it, you're 5 kids deep and going, how did I get here? And that's not everybody. Not everybody does that. A lot of people think it through, but I think a lot of people don't. And this is how I've gotten to this point. This is how I've arrived at this position, is that I don't feel like my life is lacking. I feel like my life is actually amazing. I get up every day. I took a nap yesterday afternoon for 2.5 hours. I got up, I recorded an interview, I went and taught a yoga class, and I came home. And that was my day. And it was amazing. Didn't have to drive anybody anywhere. I just hung out. Today, I got up. I went and visited two dog watching clients. Came home, recording the show. Tonight, going out with friends. That was amazing. Nothing about that to me is lacking. Nothing is missing. We have nieces and nephews. If we really want to hang out with the kiddos, we can. And so for me, that's really what it boils down to, is that I love my life how it is and don't see anything that's missing and don't have a hole to fill. And so that's why I don't want to have kids. And if that changes, I'll let you know. You guys will be the first to know. Actually, Tammy will probably be the first to know. Then you guys will be you'll be the second one. I won't tell Tammy on the air that I want to have kids. I won't spring that on her right, in front of all in front of you. I mean, it would make for a great show,
especially out of the YouTube.
But now we got the YouTube thing, so now people would be able to be like, to see the reaction on your face. And what was that? What was that look for? You just like squinted at me, like no, it wasn't anything. Okay, anyway, so that's that. That's why I don't want to have kids, and that's why I'm not particularly excited. That's why I don't feel paternal, is because I'm happy what life is, and don't want to change anything.
You have a Peaches.
I have Peaches. I have Peaches and Gizmo. Peaches is laying on the couch right now, and Gizmo's laying in Tammy's lap. We're going to be right back with Lawrence Aldershaw Crutchley is here to read us and recite for us Job chapter 8. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you like what you saw, please press the subscribe button. I'm sure there's one somewhere on your screen. And if you'd like to hear full episodes of our podcast, you can type in Your Atheist Pastor on any podcast platform that you have on your phone. Just type in Your Atheist Pastor. Every week we interview an atheist from somewhere around the world and ask them all about their life and how they rebuilt their life after religion. And there's some other fun segments and other things that we have on there. And of course, we have some goodies for our Patreon subscribers. So if you really want to get involved in the movement, go to youratheistpastor.org/give, and you can find all kinds of fun stuff on our Patreon thing as well. And we need your money because these girls have to eat. So anyway, there it is. Thanks.